sweet. Well, hello and welcome to Linear Fisheries. You join me in session on Hardwick Smiths, and I've been very lucky last night. Got here a day before the cameras turned up and I've had a fair few fish. I've had a couple of fish this morning, a bigger one in the net as well, and this absolutely lovely, fully plated. I'll quickly get this one back, get the other one out, and then run you through exactly what I'm doing this session in this very, very cold and muddy swim. So like I said, we'll get this one back and get the other one out. There you go, the second one of the morning, and I'm sure you'll agree it's a lovely carp at that, and it's really nice at the moment in freezing cold conditions actually having a couple. I think it went to about -2, -3 last night, so I was a little bit cold in my bed chair, but the carp did come and yeah, kept me awake and warming up. This one a little bit bigger than the last at 26 pound, and yeah, now the sun's out, it's warmed up a little bit, and yeah, I can warm up as well. Time for a bit of breakfast, get this one back, and hopefully today will be just as fruitful as last night. Well, I've just slipped that last fish back and got the rods out back onto the spots. A little bit of bait out there as well. When I arrived here yesterday, there was a couple of people on in the swims that I actually wanted to get in, and we didn't have a swim reserved for us for the filming, and I got here a day early just so I had the best chance of getting somewhere that I would want to fish. I managed to get in peg 13, which is a swim that I have fished just once before, quite a few years ago now, and I think it's the last time I actually fished on Hardwick Smiths. Like I said, it was the last place I fished, and I think now it was about 4 or 5 Januaries ago that I was in this swim in similar weather to this, foggy mornings and bright skies, and I did manage to have a few then. That session I was actually with my mum, and it was just fitting that yeah, yesterday my mum did drive me up here in the car very nice and early. So when I got here I had a good walk round. Like I said, I actually walked the lake twice, and for anyone who knows, you have to walk around the whole lake as well as Smithside behind me to get around the whole place, and I did see a couple of fish, mainly out in the bowl in Hardwick side to my left. I couldn't jump in to the other spit that I really wanted to, because I did see a couple of fish out in front of there, but I got to as close to them as I possibly could, and I managed to get a swim in peg 13. It's a bit different today because yeah, most people have pulled off. I think it was only 2 people on Hardwick Smiths, the whole lakes, that were on this lake last night, which is a first for me. Normally Linear, as everyone knows, is very, very busy. I think a reason for that is due to the weather turning for the worst. Last night it did drop off to below 0, and today and tonight again it's meant to drop off quite a bit, so I think that is why most of the anglers have packed it in for the winter. But on high stock lakes such as Hardwick, it's got good winter form. It hasn't been doing many fish, but if you get in the right areas and the right swims, if you can locate them and then present your baits in front of them, there's always a chance of a couple of fish. And when I got in here yesterday, the first thing I wanted to do was find a spot, and the sort of known spot out of here was quite shallow, but in this very cold weather I did decide that I wanted to fish just off the bar in probably roughly, I haven't put a marker float up, but about 18 foot of water. And the reason for that, like I said, is I feel that in this cold weather they might be holding up in the deeper water. The proof's in the pudding, they have done just that. The spot that I'm fishing is one of those spots that you don't find too often. I took a photo of the lead that I brought in yesterday, a little grapple lead that I put out there, and there's actually 2 different types of clay on the spot, and it goes down with a lovely thud. And I do think I don't really like fishing on gravel on the Linear complex. I either like clay or silt, just to be a bit different, as the fish, I think, don't see baits on those sort of spots very often. So after finding the spot, I got my rigs out there. I started off with solid bags, but I was soon to change, just because I felt a bit lazy yesterday, and it was raining a little bit, so I was having to double bag them. It was a bit of a faff. I decided to fish my Illusion D rigs with a little mesh bag on there with a couple of pellets and maggots in as well. Just maggot tippers over the top. I started off with about 15 spoms of crumb boilie and a bit of particle in there as well, with loads of liquids, just so in the deep water all that bait can get to the bottom. And like I've said, I've managed last night to have, I think, 7 fish now, including the couple this morning, so it's not bad going at all. Biggest in there was a 33 pounder that I was more than happy about, and the others were all 20s or just below. It has quietened off now, as the sun is very high in the sky. I might flick a couple of zigs out this afternoon, but I'm sure tonight, if I get a bit more bait out there and get the rods absolutely bang on, I'll hopefully be able to catch a couple more. Well, I'm just about to get some more bait back out on the spot, and I've prepared another bucket of bait. At home, before I got here, I prepared about 5 kilos of boilies, and I know it sounds quite a lot in this cold weather with mist coming off my breath and yeah, all the leaves off the trees, but I did that because I didn't know, obviously, how many fish I'd catch, and I always wanted to come prepared. It's shelf life, so it's not going off, so I can always put it back in the cupboard or the cellar if I don't use it. I added loads of liquids as well at home, just so they had time to soak into the crumb boilie and sink to the bottom, because like I've said earlier, I am fishing quite a deep area of the lake. It's also similar to the mix that I was putting out on my Cotswold Syndicate this autumn, and thankfully I did very, very well on there this autumn, landing a couple of very big Cotswold carp, and it's worked there, so I can't see why it wouldn't work on a lake like this. A lot of crumbed sort of boilie, a couple of pellets in there as well. I absolutely love pellets throughout all of my fishing, and some particle as well. A good mix of particle, a lot of hemp in there, a couple of tigers, all come in separate shelf life buckets. Usually in the summer, I'd be spomming all day, keeping that swim active, keeping the bait trickling down to the spot, but because it's winter, unless I catch a fish obviously, and then I'll put a couple out, but because it's winter, I do like to bait up at the end of the day, just as it's getting dark. 2 reasons for this. One, because the bird life on here, there's loads of birds, and as soon as you put bait out, especially this crumb boilie, you have loads of coots diving on you, and obviously that is a bit of a pain. And the second reason is that the bites at the moment on this place are coming in the hours of darkness. So I'm going to put all this bait out. Should be about 15-20 spoms, not too much, and then I'm going to save some in case I get one in the night that I can top up with. But like I said, I'll put this out, wait for that sun just to dip a bit lower, and then get the rods ready, get all prepared, and like I said, cross fingers for a couple more fish tonight. Feel it in my fingers. I can't feel my fingers actually. Well, in winter fishing, I think it is massively important about accuracy, and I know everyone says it all the time, but especially in winter, because the fish are all huddled up in little shoals. So yeah, I'm aiming basically at a telegraph pole on the far bank, and I'm putting one just to the left, one just to the right, and one just on it. The first one went just on it, so hopefully I can thread this one just down to the left, which is completely, it goes down Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Down there?
Yeah. Ooh. It's a bite. Right, number 3. Hopefully we can get this one bang on as well. Oh my word. That is perfect. Well, I'm not sure what time it is, but it's early morning. It obviously went quiet last night. Think because, as you can see, it's absolutely freezing, and yeah, I think it went to about, God knows. I had a look on the weather and it was saying -3, and I think it said it feels like -5 or something. So yeah, early morning, and we're into one. So I'll shut up, get Ben to get the light out my face, and see where this one's going. Amazing. Oh, Jesus. Cheesecake. Oh, it's a stocking. Oh, it's not a stocky. I lied. That's a very nice carp. Nice scaly one. One that's Hardwick's very well known for. Their lovely scaly Oxfordshire carp. Look at that!
I think it was a bit cold last night.
A little bit. Blooming heck. Well, that fish is just in the net, and I think I can turn my head torch off, or Ben's head torch, because mine ran out, if I know how to. There you go. So yeah, like I said, that fish is in the net, and I'm just gonna recast all the rods. It was 6:30 actually when I was playing that fish, and obviously I think it's about 20 to 7 now, so it is just getting light. So I decided that the rods have been out there for a while, fresh hook baits on, fresh rigs, and get them out on the spot, hopefully for this early morning feeding spell to carry on. And then yeah, I'm sure by the time I've done that, the sun will be up and I'll get this fish out, because it does look quite nice. Like I said, let's try and get this one on the money. Couldn't have gone much better. Absolutely perfect. Look at that. Well, there you have it, an absolute classic carp from Hardwick Smiths Linear, and it just proves into the depths of December the carp are still up for a feed at this time of year, and my hands are absolutely freezing. They're almost going blue, and yeah, like I said, this one picked me up early this morning, just on sunrise. Sun is just coming up over the horizon now. And yeah, I think I'll have to get this one back and warm my hands up. This lake was actually the first lake from this swim, in fact, that I caught my first ever 20 pounder and my first ever 30. So it's steeped in my own angling history, so I got a little bit of a soft spot for this place. And yeah, it's really nice to be back at last and having a few for the cameras. Mid-20 this one, going 25 pound, and back in the day when I was a lot younger, that'd have been an absolute massive carp for me, and it still is a very nice fish. So we'll get this one back. I'm gonna get the bruise on now, try and get a bit of feeling back on my hands, and yeah, the rods are back out there now, so you never know, I might have another one before Ben has to leave today, and yeah, leave me all alone in the freezing cold. Oh. So the rigs and baits that I'm using for this session couldn't really be any more simple. A rig that I've used for a fair few years now, and I was actually speaking earlier and saying I don't think I've ever lost a fish on one of these. I'll probably jinx that now, and the next one I'll lose, but honestly, every hook hold has been absolutely amazing, and we've seen it this session with every fish being slap bang in the bottom lip. So the mechanics of this rig are pretty simple once again. It's a D-rig, your standard sort of illusion D-rig, I call it, and you've got a little whipping knot just opposite the barb on the hook, as well as a trimmed down kicker that Fox do. I found that this is the best, and it's kind of easier than doing shrink tube on all of them. Shrink tubes works the same, but I feel like they give a better angle, these kickers, and make sure it flips around every single time into the fish's mouth. And it is quite a big hook as well. I've trimmed down a Scent from Hell pop-up this time and tipped it off with about 15 to 20 maggots. I've just found that that is the perfect amount for it to settle down slowly on the spot. And I'm using quite a long rig in today's standards, I'd say, probably about 11-12 inches. And I'm using quite a long rig just due to the fact that, that there is some low-lying weed on the deck, and I want that just to flutter down slowly and settle on top of that, and it will still be presented every time. And finally, for extra anti-tangle purposes, I tie them with an anti-tangle sleeve onto a swivel, just how I've always done it. I know people do some loops in the end, but I think that is a little bit neater doing it like this. I can change rigs very effectively and quickly, and I can have a couple of these hanging up in my bivvy, ready to go once I've caught a fish. I mount this onto a leg clip, once again great for anti-tangle purposes. I use about 3.5 to a 4 ounce lead, depending what I've got on the bag and depending what I put on, but I'm not fishing far out now, so there's no use in using a very big lead. And also the spot that I have found is quite clayey, so I don't really want it plugging in too much. So yeah, I've been tending to use 3.5 ounces, dropping the leads on the take as well, just so the fish can get out of the deep water and hopefully rise to the surface without wiping out my other rods. And that's the rig that I've just had the fish on, and hopefully I'll be able to pick off one more fish on this rig before I can head off home. Come in. That was an exciting bite to get on the GoPro, wasn't it? Well, literally just slipped that fish back. Got 3 more spawns of bait back over the top. That crumb boilie I ran through with you yesterday, and it's off again. A couple of beeps. Seems, yeah, the bites aren't the most exciting, but yeah, just tighten up on a tight clutch as well. Picked into it, and yeah, the sun's in my eye, so I can't really see where it's going. But we're into another one. Lovely way to start an absolutely freezing cold day. Doesn't come much better. It's another scaly one. I'm chucking that net. Oh, I can get it. Ooh, it's gonna come out of its, yeah, it's come out of its thing, mate. Well, we just had a bit of drama. I didn't put my net in properly and it all fell apart just as I was about to net it. So Ben had to jump off the camera, but it is in the net. It's another heavily scaled mirror, which is very nice to see. So I'll quickly unhook this. I've got another rig all prepped up. I'm just going to quickly hook on, wrap it up, get it out to the spot, and yeah, hopefully we might have another one in this early morning feeding spell. So there you have it, another absolutely stunning Hardwick carp. Another block of ice, freezing cold, and yeah, I'm very surprised that they're still feeding at this time of year. But as I've just run through with you, those rigs are working absolutely perfectly. Haven't lost a single fish this session. This is fish number 9 now, and yeah, like I said, they've all been absolutely nailed in the bottom lip, right where they should be, and they definitely weren't coming off. So yeah. The sun's coming up now, got much needed warmth in my fingers and toes, and yeah, the ice is just about melting as well. So let's get this one back, and if it's anything like yesterday, the bites will slow up now after that sun is well over the horizon. But I'm not complaining because it's very nice and warm. What a lovely fish. Well, the sun is well and truly up in the sky at the moment, and yeah, I thought after the flurry of action this morning it would have quietened off a little bit. So yeah, I didn't really bother to put any more bait out. I was about to reel in actually, go and see a mate that's fishing P1 and come back this evening, but yeah, almost out the blue, it's gone, which is very, very nice. So hopefully we can get it in, and then I'll be packing up and heading off home. And yeah, it's been an absolute incredible winter session, to be honest. When I first came, I didn't think I'd be into my 10th fish of the session in yeah, in 2 nights, which is pretty good. So yeah, I'll shut up, try and get this one in. I'm in, double take. Right, get that one in the net. And jump over here. Bit of carnage. That one literally was slipping in the net. It's down there in the net now, and I've had a double take. So yeah, thought that was going to be the last fish of the session. But hopefully if I get this one in, this will be. There you go, the second one of the double take. Probably a mid-double this one. It's a nice little tail on it, quite a thick tail and a little fins. So yeah, decided to quickly get it out. Couple of shots of it, and then we'll slip it back and have a look at the first of the double take that took me quite by surprise. That looks quite a bit bigger, I think, than this one. But all the same, lovely fish. This one, number 11, got number 10 in the net. And yeah, absolute wicked in 48 hours, managing the fish that I've had. I'm very chuffed about it. So yeah, like I said, I'll slip this one back quickly and get the other one out. Some leeches on this one. Well, there you have it, the first of the double take. Yeah, a little bit bigger this one, probably just scraping 20 pounds. And yeah, you could probably agree with me. Another really nice scaly carp from Hardwick. Very, very happy, like I've said, with the fish that I've caught this session. And I think it's time now to leave them rods in and head off home, back to the comfort of a nice warm bed and a shower. This one's ready to go back, so one last look, then we'll slip them back over the moon. Wake up. Yeah, no, I'm gonna be sipping brews next to you.
That's going in.
That's the opening, isn't it? Or the ending.
Yeah.
Leave them on a high.